Seriously, why do people do this? Why, oh why would you ever let your brakes get this bad? Utter ridiculous. Why? Oh yeah, by the way, this is my car. Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. I let my brakes get this bad. Now, before you start writing comments, I haven't used this car in over 2 years, maybe even a bit more. So it's kind of, you know, that's why they're really rusty and this bad, and I've just been driving it here and obviously it's just got the middle of it out. So you can kind of forgive me. But it's time to sell, and I want to do all the bits so the new customer or the new person who ever gets it's going to get like a sorted car. I'd never sell a car like this. So we're going to do rear brakes and pads on the back of this. I've already done the front ones. I've done a video on that ages ago, so there's no point me showing the front ones, but I do the rear ones. And I did a brake video not that long ago, and there is so many people saying about the grease and all that sort of stuff, and you shouldn't use copper grease and you shouldn't do this, you should never put grease here or whatever. But there is a video coming up very soon. I've got in contact with a brake manufacturer and I'm going to go through everything, what grease to use, what they recommend. But here is the thing. This is the thing. There is not one brake manufacturer, well sorry, all the brake manufacturers all say different things. Every single brake manufacturer says a different story. Every single other car manufacturer, they all say a different story to the brake manufacturers. So it's who do you believe? Copper grease is fine if you use it in certain areas. On the newer cars, on the new special brakes, okay, that's slightly different. But then I'll be showing you a different method when they kind of come more popular. But for the likes of this car, absolutely no issue at all using copper grease on the back of the pads. Different grease for the slide pins, different grease for the back. You know, it's not going to be an issue. New, brand spanking new modern cars do require slightly different grease, but like I said, not one brake manufacturer, they all say different things. They don't agree with each other. Some brake manufacturers say don't use copper grease, but then you buy a brake pad and it comes with copper grease inside it. So this is what I'm saying, you know, there's no by the book, so to speak, and doing it by the book anyway is absolute bullshit. People say, oh, you got to do it by the book because this is what the book says. Absolute bullshit. And I'm going to absolutely destroy them people when it comes to this video, because or it comes to the other video, because if you're doing it by the book, then when a wheel bearing goes, you have to replace all four wheel bearings. No one's going to do that. No one's going to pay you to do that. Every single car at 100,000 miles, you have to replace every single pulley in your engine, your starter motors, your alternators. Again, no one's going to do that. So this by the book method, absolute bullshit. People that do this by the book, to you. Anyway, what we're going to do is we'll whip off this brake caliper first, and we'll see exactly how bad this looks. Shame on you, Leon. Shame on you. Right, so we've got a 14mm bolt, and you need to hold this with a 19mm spanner. And if this spins, it's kind of a good thing, because it kind of means that it's not seized. As you can see, it spins and it's kind of free. This one, well, it kind of was. It wasn't spinning, but it's kind of a little bit seized. But that's a good indication to know if these slide pins are seized. There's a good chance that these are on this, because obviously it hasn't been ran in such a long time. I shouldn't really be doing this with a spanner, but hey ho, they're my tools. Just being lazy. Let me get a screwdriver. See, it's really not good letting a vehicle sit. Just look at this. This is just really from just letting it sit. A lot of this is caused from. Now these brakes were bad. That's why I actually parked it. And over time, the rust and everything has got more. And I never really bothered to do anything with it. You can just see, like, it's just falling off. So there we go. That's why I'm selling it now. So I'm doing it now. And it was maybe kind of a good thing, because if I did this just before I parked it, put all new stuff on, then all the new stuff would have been destroyed. So yeah, it's just as well I kind of didn't, because it's just a waste of money, really. What we're going to do now is we're going to wind this back, make sure there's no rust on the pins on the actual piston part. and we'll just wind that back, take the carrier off to the 2 bolts down there, and start getting everything nice, new and shiny, sorted. Right, so we're going to wind it back the good old-fashioned way, because I haven't got my compressor set up. Well, I haven't even got power in this shed yet, so I have got my compressor here, but I haven't got any power, so I can't power anything. So I'm just going to shove this in first. There's no rust on the actual piston itself, which is obviously a good thing. So we can just push this, or screw this all the way back. And when you got to love, because when you do these type of videos on YouTube, you know, it all depends where you are in the world, to what you use, to what conditions they are. And a simple job like this can completely change depending on where you are in the world. And I get people, I saw him do this, and look, I don't give a shit what you saw someone do or whatever like that. That's them for their specific reasons. This is me in this country for other reasons. So yeah, I don't understand people. I saw him do this and he did it this way and he did it. I don't give a shit, okay? I'm doing it this way for reasons. There we go. So this should now just kind of wind back. I say just kind of wind back, but obviously it might be a bit, oh no, just do it the right way, Leon, normally helps, you know. So what I'm going to do is no point in filming it, because again you can't really see. We're going to wind this back and then we're going to take off the carrier. Right, I've nearly got this wound back. I had to actually change because I got the wrong thread. There's a left and a right thread, one of these. But anyway, I always forget to mention this, but obviously before you do this, take off the cap for the brake reservoir. And don't just always be tempted to fill up your brake reservoir. If your brake level is low, there's normally a reason. Either one, there's a leak somewhere, or two, your pads are wearing. So when people then fill them because they think, you know, oh, I'll just fill it up. When you come to push all this back, the fluid goes everywhere. So always check, because if your fluid is low, there's a reason why your fluid's low. Now, when you're doing these slide pins, just do one at a time. What you need to do is, the reason why I say one at a time is because sometimes some of them are slightly different. If you look at this, this has kind of this rubbery material at the end, and it's on the top, and the bottom one has nothing. So always do one at a time. And as you can see, these are really clean. Now obviously I'm going to wire brush them to get them really clean, but I mean sometimes these are rusty and they're caked with all sorts of stuff, but these are actually quite good. So I'm going to wire brush these. I'm going to put some moly grease on them. Don't put copper grease on these parts because the copper grease acts like sandpaper and it will absolutely destroy them. And once I do that, we will turn the camera back on and we'll take the carrier off. But the brake wound it in nice and okay, so I'm not worried about the caliper, because potentially, you know, you could have caliper issues when the car gets left this long. When you finish cleaning it, as you can see, look, comes up nice. There's no issues with it. There's no dimples in it. There's no, because if this kind of rusts away, it will be slack in the thing and cause you all sorts of problems too. So there we go, sorted. And yes, always have an axle stand when you're working on a jack. And just before anyone says, yes, I've managed to support this not hanging down. Well, for a start, it's not hanging down, and it's supported also by the handbrake cable. There is no pressure whatsoever on here. So there we go. Right, we're going to get this off now because obviously it's kind of seized on there. And I'm just going to hit it with a hammer. Because the really funny thing is, again, I get this. You should never use a hammer. I watch people and they use an air hammer. It's a hammer. It's just the same thing. An air hammer is actually putting a lot more pressure on this because people say it damages the wheel bearing. Please, it doesn't. You know, it just doesn't. A few slaps first and just to see if it comes off. And as you can see, now, if there was grease in behind this, it would have come off so much easier. And when I put the grease in behind this, it's such a thin layer. It's not going to cause any brake run out like people say it's going to do. And it's going to stop the rust, and it's going to stop the rust jacketing. The problem with rust when it gets in behind here, that will cause brake run out. You put a very thin knot of copper grease, very thin layer of grease. I'm going to use moly grease. and it will stop this from rusting. It won't be nowhere near as hard to take off the next time, and it's not going to cause the run out like people say. And again, once I do this video with this brake card, we're going to basically prove all this and all the myths and everything that goes along with it. Sorted. Brake file sorted. Bit of brake cleaner, a bit of grease, and we're good to go. Sorted. Right, so we're nearly putting everything back on. We've got all this already, the carrier already and greased up. And we're going to stick that back on. And like I was saying before, just because other people say, well, I've seen this other guy doing this, doesn't mean they're right either. Just because you've seen someone do it doesn't mean they're right to what other people are doing. So yeah, even says the thickness, the minimum thickness this should be if you want to resurface it. Even though I've never ever resurfaced brakes, I just buy them new. Right, so you can see we've buttered it all up. I just got to put the screws in. Now these do have some Loctite on them, so we're going to put a bit more Loctite on them. Then I'm going to get Sean to press the brakes once I get it all screwed in, to make sure there's no leaks, there's no issues, the brake pedal goes hard. Then we'll spin the wheel by hand just to make sure it's not locking and make sure everything is fine. And then obviously do to the side. Sorted. Right, I'm just going to get Sean to press the brake now to pump it a few times. We're all good. I know it looks like the actual thing is the... Is that done, yeah? Right, okay, has it gone hard? Yeah. I know it looks like the cover is actually twisted, but it isn't. And there we go, so it's all good. And I know, absolutely disgraceful. Cannot wait for the comments that people tell me that I shouldn't have done it. But like I said, I was never driving it like this. I've just left it. I did hear a noise. As soon as I heard the noise, I stopped the car. And I just haven't driven it since. It's over 2 years. And of course the rust has set in now and made it a million times worse. But I wasn't driving it like that. That's the key. But yes, still disgraceful. So cannot wait for the comments. Put them down below. But that's it. So look, hope it helps. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Don't forget, links up here and links down below. But most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted.